Hello and welcome to another episode of Northside Now. This is the podcast where we take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. My name is Patrick, and with me as always are Glenn Miller and Kevin Bryant.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
We've just been spending the last hour trying to talk about what's up so we can talk about what's up.
I know, and I'm just depressed now.
Well, you know, there are times in my life when I have struggled to find some positivity. And I don't know if that's right now, but I think that if you think about lots of different things that have happened on the world stage, I mean, we were talking about COVID, we were talking about all kinds of diseases.
Monkeypox and climate change. And
there's a lot of things that can bring you down.
Paying college students to play sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
That hurts me.
I know. Why didn't they pay you whenever you played?
I don't think they pay band students.
I was just going to say, pay you to play an instrument. You know, it's easy to become really negative and cynical about life.
Yeah, and don't even get us started on the weather.
Oh, well, right. So sometimes it's a challenge to stay positive.
It is. It really is.
Right. And so I can definitely understand, especially in COVID, we've talked about this before, mental health and various different things about just things seem to be leading down.
I thought when you were dealing with COVID, you didn't want to be positive.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yes, very good. Very good.
So we're not going to bore you with all of our stuff because I think
we're going to be positive.
We're all tired and we're all just this and that. But we have met a fellow that is probably one of the most positive, upbeat, rambunctious persons I know. And he is excited about some pickleball. And so he's going to be whipping up in here to the podcast room soon. Is Mr. Ron Harris, and he's helping us get pickleball started here at Northside. And I mean, what did he say when he was setting this up for us? You know, you hit someone with a ball and you're laughing and cutting up and having a good time.
Yeah, the last time I was hit with a ball, it was not enjoyable.
So,
but it's like a wiffle ball thing, right?
It's got holes in it.
It's got holes in it. It's plastic. I don't think you can hit it like too fast of a speed, but you know, we've been playing around a little bit now that we've got the lines down, the nets in the gym, and I have to say it's pretty darn fun.
Well, I am super excited for everybody to hear this interview because I think that we've talked about pickleball before, and just the name itself, like it's pickleball.
I know.
And it makes me hungry. And
they're called picklers.
Picklers, right?
If you want to know why it's called pickleball, just stay tuned.
Before that, the only pickler I knew was Kelly.
Me too. There we go, man. We're on fire. We're on fire. Well, we're not going to bore you with all the dad jokes since you got three dads here now to carry us on. Let's open that door and let Mr. Ron come in and brighten our days. Well, we've invited into the podcast room Mr. Ron Harris. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Hey, glad to be here, Glenn.
Well, we're glad you're here, too. Ron is the West Tennessee Pickleball Ambassador and is the fellow who's been helping us get ready to do some pickleball here at Northside and help us get our courts laid down and our equipment in and stuff. So, number one, thank you for helping us do that.
Oh, it was very good for me as well. And I'm not the pickleball ambassador for West Tennessee. Just Madison County.
Oh, okay. I thought it was West Tennessee.
A lady named Taylor, who is in Memphis, who might argue with you about being, because she's my boss.
I wanted to say pickleball ambassador of the world, but I know. But we got, he's a professional. He's a real deal in here now. Patrick, you're going to have to take lessons from him.
All right.
Hey, I give free beginners lessons.
I'm ready.
Well, tell us a little bit, because pickleball has been around for a good while, but it's kind of a new craze. And it's one of those things where people were asking, hey, have you ever thought about doing pickleball here and all that stuff? And for several years, Miss Patsy Brockenbauer is going to be excited that we have it here now and stuff. But tell us a little bit about pickleball. When did it start? How did it make this big push here lately?
1965, Bainbridge Island off of Seattle coast somewhere, and family got together and they didn't have the correct equipment, and this guy sort of put together the idea of pickleball, and then two more guys took it and they ran with it for quite a few years, but the sports manufacturers looked at it and said, there's no money in this.
Oh.
It's too inexpensive to do.
Oh, wow.
And finally, fast forward to about 2008, Senior Olympics. People 50 and older who participate in all kinds of sports, pickleball showed up there, and that's where it really kicked off. Some of my friends have told me that they took pickleball lessons in the Jackson City school system in the 80s.
Yep, my wife went to Chester County, and she did the same thing.
Right.
She said, that was a PE class.
Interesting. I thought it was like a newer thing.
Me too.
I didn't realize it had that history to it.
Yeah, and so 2008 was Senior Olympics. People got to see it, and it started spreading through the seniors. And all of a sudden, the younger players started, oh, well, I'll try that. And, a 27-year-old would go out there with a couple of 50, 60-year-olds, and the 50, 60-year-olds would take them on and just wipe them off the court because they knew how to play the game. And as a result of that, it started to catch on, and now it's still heavily 50 up. But there's a great bunch of younger people. Here in Jackson, we have elementary, middle, high school, college kids that play, and then a bunch of adults that are out there playing all the way up into their 80s.
Well, that's awesome.
I want to ask the burning question I think is on everyone's mind. Why is it called pickleball?
Two stories. One, there was a rowing team, and it might be Brainbridge Cup. Their boats were called pickle boats because they were put together from other boats.
Oh, okay.
That was the second, and I think the truthful beginning of the name. Well, the first thing I heard about it is that there was a dog named Pickles that lived with the family, and they retrieved the balls. But Pickles came along several years after the name pickleball became part of the sport.
Gotcha. Yeah, the dog going and getting the ball, that sounds a little far-fetched to me.
There we go.
Yuck.
What we got to deal with. So tell us, how is pickleball? I mean, I think if people have seen it, they tend to think of tennis or maybe table tennis, ping pong, or maybe they play, what was it called when you just play that thing on the beach with like a rubber ball and wooden paddles? I don't know what that's called, but that was like a thing when I was a kid. So
I think of badminton too.
Badminton, yeah.
It's a combination of badminton, ping pong, pickleball.
Racquetball.
Tennis, exactly right. That's one of the neat things about pickleball. You can use whatever sports you were in, it's still evolving. The pros that are playing it, we watch them change the game daily. As tennis players have seen the game, more and more tennis players are coming in and playing pickleball. And that means that the ball's being hit a little harder, and a little change in the way you play based on tennis as opposed to ping pong or badminton. But you can pick your sport. If you have hand-eye coordination, you can play pickleball. All the times I'll see a team, a husband and wife, out hitting the tennis ball as hard as they can. The guys are hitting it back and forth, and the ladies are not quite being able to chime in and play with the guys.
Yeah.
Pickleball makes a difference. You can bring those ladies in. They've got a little bit of hand-eye coordination. If they know a little bit about the sport, they can be on a level with their husbands playing tennis. And that's a big difference in the game and the way it's played.
Yeah.
And I've watched some of it, and I haven't played it yet myself, but answer that question, because I've heard this a lot where you said this really started spreading like wildfire through older adults. Why is it such a good game for any age? What is it about the sport that makes it so that almost anybody could play?
Well, you're 14 feet away from your opponent when you're playing the game. The wiffle ball's flying around and you're getting smacked in the chest with it by mistake, or somebody hits you on the leg. And what you see is you see that group of people laughing, slapping their hands, patting each other on the back. There's communications there, where in other sports, it's a lot more serious. Racquetball is a good deal more serious. They're tough out there on the racquetball court. You don't go up and pat your buddy on the back when he beats you in racquetball. Tennis is, another step further away. You're at 80 feet away from your people when you're hitting. You may have never talked to your opponent. Pickleball, at the end of the match, you go up and tap paddles and say good game.
Yeah.
And so it's a networking sport. And of course, I hate to mention COVID, but COVID was a big kick for pickleball because you could be outside, still get exercise, and be several feet away from your opponents and away from your partner, still play the game, where racquetball died, as being the new sport. So, yes, it's fun. It's addictive. to get someone to play pickleball, you can almost just take a paddle, hand it to them, and have a bouncing ball on it, and they say, I can do this. Well, they can. I've got friends that I thought would never be able to play pickleball, and they have persevered and worked to learn the game, and they're out there being competitive. Some of them didn't have hand-eye coordination before they started, and that's a big thing to overcome in a competitive sport.
Yeah. How many pickleballers are there in Madison County right now?
My guess is 350.
Wow.
350. And there's another big group in Milan, Tennessee, possibly 200 there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
We get people that come in to play with us from Paris, from McKenzie, from Caruthersville, from Union City, from Bells. You know, they all come in. I mean, I get calls for them all the time wanting to know when can we play?
Yeah.
When are there people on the courts? You know, what are the rules? You know, all that kind of thing.
Now, there are outdoor courts here in Jackson, too, right? I mean, we're kind of a little bit late to the game, but we're going to provide an indoor surface, which is needed.
Sure.
In Jackson. And so we're looking forward to that. But how many outdoor courts are there? I think Conger Park has several, don't they?
Conger Park has 6 outdoor courts that Mayor Guest put in play back 4 years ago. And just recently, they allowed us to take 2 of the tennis courts at the level above the pickleball courts. Okay. So we don't have them exclusively. They're still tennis courts. We just relined them like we've repurposed your gym.
Yeah.
Those are the main outdoor courts. There's a few individuals that have single pickleball courts, you know, outside their home, inside a building. I have a tennis court out on the farm. We've got a tennis court with a pickleball court on it that came from the 80s.
Yeah.
And so it's like you said, having this here is very important because November hits. It's not going to be, you know, you can't play outdoors.
Yeah.
November through February is tough, but you better believe if there's a little sprinkle of sunlight, they'll be out there playing pickleball in 39-degree weather at Conger Park.
Yeah.
And so we have a few places that, you know, we can play indoors during November through February, but that's my job. I mean, I have all this enthusiasm right down to the end of October. Then it's sort of like a funnel, and what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
You know, you don't want your picklers just to go home and sit down and stop. You want to have a place for them to play. So First Methodist downtown, we regularly have a 7 to 9 or 9:30 on Thursday night. There's a guy named Brad Tursky who introduced me to the game back in like 2015, who's building 3 courts out off of 412. And Heath Harple, who works for JRPD, provides 4 pickleball courts in the cooler weather at Westwood Gardens Tennis Center.
Oh, okay.
Ted Measley, who is who handles tennis for the city, for JRPD, I believe. And I may be wrong there, but anyway, who handles it. He has 2 pickleball courts at the old tennis center on the old Medina Road. You can contact him and you can rent those courts, typically $20-25 for a couple hours. You get 3 or 4 of your buddies together and put the money together and go out there and call him on his cell phone. He'll say, sure, show up and play. So those are the venues that we have. I wish I had a way for us to have more organized pickleball during the cold weather, but the city doesn't have gymnasiums.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't have gymnasiums that they'll allow us to do that with.
Yeah. How did you get started in this?
I mentioned Brad Tursky.
Yeah.
I'm a 45-year racquetball player that played tournament-level racquetball. Brad was very involved in racquetball, and we had outdoor racquetball courts on his farm out East Jackson.
Oh, wow.
East Jackson. He had national tournaments out there. People would come all over from the United States to play outdoor racquetball. And one day he called me and said, look, I've got some pickleball courts. I've got 3 other people that want to play. Can you come out and play with me? And he had taken the outfield of the 2 outdoor racquetball courts and put a pickleball court there. And that was my introduction to pickleball. I didn't know that the Melissus Senior Citizens Center had been playing pickleball out there for several years before that. So, you know, that's how far back it goes in Jackson, pretty much probably 2014, something like that.
Wow.
And I started playing there and had a bad hip. I could still play racquetball, but then I couldn't walk for a day and a half afterwards.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't the time in my life where I could go be off from work for 3 months to have hip surgery. And I started playing pickleball, and I could play pickleball, and it was competitive, and it was fun. And so I started playing tournaments. About the time I got my hip ready to go to play racquetball again, COVID hit. And no more indoor racquetball. And Brad Tursky had gotten more and more in pickleball, so I just kept on with playing pickleball. So I started going to clinics in Nashville. And then I had guys say, well, let's go to the Villages in Florida and go to clinics. So 4 of us would get together and drive 11 hours down to Villages and share one motel room for 3 nights and take lessons from people in the villages who were professional instructors. And as it became more and more positive, then I took clinics in Nashville and in Palm Desert, California. I had some frequent flyer miles to burn, went out there for a few days pre-COVID. Somewhere along in there, about 2018, someone suggested, well, why don't you become a pickleball ambassador? You're already doing everything a pickleball ambassador would. I had retired in 2017. And so I signed up for it and got some of my friends who were involved in pickleball to vouch for me and became a pickleball ambassador, which is I have no direct connection to the USA Pickleball Association other than they give me materials to use. They send me business cards. They give me suggestions. Mm-hmm. There's a website that I can go to pick up information about people who are having the same problems. Like when we talked about tape, I was able to go into that group, search on stuff and find out, there's 2,500 pickleball ambassadors. So those people talk about all their problems in that group.
Yeah.
And so it gives me access to that for search. And there's quite a lot of online material that I can use for teaching. And I decided to take a teaching certificate or get a teaching certificate for pickleball. The IPTPA is an International Pickleball Teachers Association. I went to them, paid a couple $100, took an 8-hour class, went through the class, learned how to use the methodology that they teach so that if someone else goes to an IPTPA instructor, they will be taught the same way I taught them, and then took a final test and passed. And the final test was if I can hand feed a ball to a beginning player. That was the final test. The rest of it we'd already done, but the test was, can you throw a ball to that lady who has never hit a pickleball before where she can hit it back until she can start to learn what the control is.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how I got into pickleball. And so I enjoy playing tournaments. I play 10, 12, 14, 16 tournaments a year. A lot of local tournaments. Bartlett has one coming up in September. Brad Tursky and his wife Bree had one here in the spring. They'll have another one in November at Conger Park. Mm-hmm. Those are outdoor events. I go to Tupelo and Nashville and St. Louis and, just play in the tournaments. And there are different levels of play. Yeah. 2-5 through 5-0 is the traditional levels of play. And when they have a tournament, if they have 200, 300, 400, 1,200, 1,500 people in a tournament, they broke those levels down in age groups. So I go in and I'll play against 70 to 74-year-olds at my group. And if I want to, I can drop into a skill level and play 3-5-0s or 3-5-4-0s. And it'll be anybody from 10 years old to 80 years old out there playing. So typically a pickleball tournament lasts 3 days. You go in and if you lose a game at the beginning of the pickleball tournament, then you drop into a loser's bracket and you can go all the way back up to the winner's bracket again if you win through. So it's just not your one and done. There's a good chance for you to play and be competitive there. Yeah. And there's usually singles are available, gender doubles are available, and then mixed doubles are available. Okay. So it's all spread out through the tournament. You know ahead of time basically when you're supposed to play. They send you a text on your phone and you show up and there's 2 guys over there who are ready to take you on.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, Ron, you talked about pro and national associations, and with it being 60 years old, I just feel like, wow, this is something great local that started, but it's actually pretty big, right? So is there a national team internationally? How well is it organized, all that?
There are international versions of pickleball. They're played the same way, spread out from the United States and got pushed out. There are, you can get tours that take you to Switzerland, and you can play, if you want to take a trip to Switzerland, you can play in a pickleball tournament in Switzerland as a part of a tour. It's not growing as fast there as it is here, but in the United States, there's 4.8 million people, and it's grown for the last 5 years an average of 11% per year.
Wow.
That's pretty big growth.
Yeah, it is.
Now that ranges from everybody who plays every day to somebody who plays once a week, or once 2 weeks, But
do you know is there conversations of having it become like an Olympic sport or something like that?
Well, there are certain criterion for the Olympic sports. Yeah. And yes, they would love for pickleball to become a part about it, but it's a ways off.
Okay.
The biggest growth right now has been the hype. Okay. There are several people with money have gotten into pickleball and have put together They call it Major League Pickleball. So on Tuesday nights, you can find on CBS or YouTube or Facebook or somewhere, if you Google it, you can find a pro match where the 4 best players in the world will be out there playing pickleball.
Wow.
And they make money from doing it. And that's part of the draw from tennis. If you're a 32-year-old tennis player, you're probably getting to the top of the food chain, but you can be a very, very competitive pickleball player.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Serena Williams is now going to be a pickleballer.
There's been advertisements. She's shown up in their advertisements, and it's being commercialized.
Sure.
There's money to be made there.
Well, I told Patrick before we started today that I caught on TV somewhere where it was like former NFL players and some other former athletes of other pro sports, and there was a exhibition pickleball thing, and they were all playing, and it was on TV. I guess everybody's jumping in on it now.
Well, I think that's how popularity grows. You have grassroots stuff, which obviously has been happening, but the more you get visibility on national media and all those kinds of things, it tends to help spur on the growth.
Yeah, because I think it was Drew Brees was one of them that was playing. And so, if his face gets on it, it's going to be
right.
It's going to be pretty big. So,
who were the 2 coaches that played the finals in college basketball together against each other? I can't remember what their names are, but the 2 coaches who've seen plays against each other, they played pickleball together.
Oh, did they?
That morning before.
Oh, wow.
Before the
That's
basketball game that afternoon.
Yeah, that's great.
When you're starting out pickleball, what's the best way to start? Is just go out there and start playing like you did ping pong in the garage or tennis, or is there a best way to start? Is there a best practice to get started? Because launching this here at the church, we're going to have a lot of new players that want to try it. So what are your suggestions?
As a
there?
pickleball ambassador, I'm prejudiced against how to start because I've seen so many people who start the game and without any kind of instruction, and they don't grow as quickly as people that have been given a little bit of instruction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can go out in somebody's backyard and have a lot of fun playing pickleball. You can get your 3 best friends and go over and conquer, and you'll be laughing and screaming out there in 5 minutes. But if you want to learn the game, you need to take a little bit of instruction. You need to be able to know how to dink, which is something that's part of pickleball and part of another sport. It's the ability to be able to hit an unattackable ball just over the net so that your partner can't, or your opponent can't hit it back at you hard. You have to learn where you serve and return from. Mm-hmm. And then you have to learn how to keep score and a little bit about court positioning. And then you have the confidence to go out there and play. If you don't have that, you go out there and you just feel like you're a free spirit floating off into the atmosphere. What do I do next?
Right.
Just a little bit of management and a little bit of court skills get you where you can function on the court. I've been teaching pickleball lessons at Conger on Thursday nights for about the past 4 weeks, and before that, a month or so. Usually 6, 7, 8 people will come out, and I'll have 4 people that are really athletic, and before the night's over, they're competitive out there. I'll have 4 people that are, have a little trouble hitting the ball, don't have that much hand-eye coordination. I'll put them on the court, but by the time they get through, they feel confident they can go out there and meet and actually play a little bit of pickleball, and they're laughing and cutting up. The other thing is we're so established here. All the people that play pickleball out there are in their own little groups. They have their best buds. They call 7 of them up and they go out there and they take 2 courts and they play for 2 hours. If you go out there and you're a new person, you never played pickleball before, it's sort of hard to get into that kind of group. With these beginners groups like this, after you've been out there for 2 hours hitting the ball at each other, you've got a new set of 7 friends.
Yeah.
And when I get done, I send out a PDF with my notes on it and the people's names and phone numbers on there. And I'm still on a text link with them. And I hear this ping, ping, ping going off the next 2 or 3 days where they're getting back together and actually going and playing pickleball together.
Yeah, good.
And which is heaven for me, to see that happen.
Well, here at Northside, we are going to have Ron, we're going to schedule him to come in and teach some lessons. He's already agreed to do that for us. And so he's going to be coming out, and we're going to be releasing a schedule this week as you're hearing this of when the gym will be open for pickleball. And you can come out. And there are several established players in the church that can maybe help you get started until we get, if you want to get started before Ron can have his first class, come out and watch or be a part. We do have a few paddles here if you don't have one, and you can try that and see if you want to move on from there. So
now, is there an age limit on either end?
I know there's not one on the upper end, and right now, I don't. If you're
be any age,
if you want to bring your child, don't just bring them and drop them off, but you got to play with them.
Free daycare. No.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll have Autumn come watch them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be rolling. And Ron helped us put the courts down. They look great. They really stand out well. And The nets are cool and stuff. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Maybe we can have a invitational Northside Now podcast tournament.
I was just thinking.
And Kevin, you and I could team up and we could get into some of that.
We could be
senior
the celebrity
Olympic
players.
stuff.
Yeah.
We could do that senior Olympic stuff.
Dude, I am nearing the senior category.
There we go. We're close.
Some people say I already am.
Just for everybody's knowledge, the Senior Olympics registration is out right now.
Ooh.
For this year, you can come play pickleball or pole vaulting or horseshoes.
Pole vaulting.
I'm going to stay away from pole vaulting.
They have senior Olympic pole vaulting.
Not here, but they do. They do at nationals.
I might drive to watch that. That would be kind of fun.
I admire pole vaulter.
My hat's off to you. If
Yeah,
you're
I tell you.
Senior Olympic pole vaulter. Well, I may do that. I may have to schedule because, I mean, I've played once practicing with Ron and then hitting the ball around with a few other folks. I think I'm ready.
I would definitely need some practice, but yeah.
I got a feeling they'd run me all over the court. Going, come here, young man. Let me show you something. So, well, Ron, thank you for all of your help you've done with us here at Northside
My pleasure.
Pickleball.
I'm the Pickleball Ambassador for Madison County, and Glenn's got my phone number. If you have questions about pickleball, it doesn't have to be related to church, just pickleball in general. Text me, give me a call.
Do y'all have like a Facebook page or something like that as well?
Yes, Jackson Pickleball Association.
Okay.
And we have a website, West10, WSTTN, pickleball.com.
Okay.
And then if you want to learn more about pickleball, it's usapickleball.org. And if you like to travel, places, the number 2, PLAY.org is places to play.
Okay.
So you can go in there. If you put in the zip code 38305, guess who will pop up?
All right, great.
And information about Milan, information about Jackson, where you can play pickleball, the hours, when the lights are on, where the bathrooms are, those kind of things. And eventually, hopefully, Northside Church will appear on there.
Yeah,
That's
it will.
cool.
Hopefully soon. Well, thanks, Ron, for coming by again. We've had Ron Harris with us today. He is helping us get pickleball started here at Northside. So something new that we were talking about in that recreation stuff we were talking about last episode. And so thank you again, Ron, for dropping by the podcast.
Definitely my pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Now, I told y'all he was going to brighten our day. He is passionate about some pickleball and a great instructor. He taught me just in a few moments a little bit of how to hit the ball right. That was dinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dink.
Dinking.
Yeah.
And
Dink, Forrest, Dink. Wait.
yeah. And that was ping pong. that
Ping
Forrest
pong, that's
did.
right.
So pickleball, and not dinking ball. Pickleball is coming very soon to actually it's here. We're going to be releasing a schedule, like I said earlier, about when the gym's going to be open for pickleball, and hopefully we'll have enough open spots and stuff. Mr. Ron thinks that we're going to cover the gym up, and so
Will people need to sign up beforehand, or can they just show up?
we're going to start with the show up method.
Okay.
First, and then if it grows beyond our capability, we'll have to do a sign up. And he's kind of helped me figure that out a little bit and what we need to do. So he's been a great resource, a wonderful guy. And if you're interested in pickleball, he's the guy. And we'll be putting out some stuff about, getting started. And if you're an established player and want to play and help other people, give me a holler and come on up, and maybe we'll have you help some other people as well. That way we can help more people. And I see a Northside pickleball tournament coming soon.
I think it would be
go.
so cool.
Especially if you didn't take any lessons prior to playing. Because
No experience allowed.
I think you pick it up that fast. So it'd be kind of fun. So pickleball is here at Northside. So,
We'll have to get it in before my surgery, and then
yes, we had to play before your surgery.
yeah.
yeah.
And I guess that's breaking news as well.
Oh yeah, I don't know that I've talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be having surgery mid-September, so yeah, that'll be
Prayers
fun.
for Patrick.
Please. I need all the prayer I can get.
Mm-hmm. Don't we all?
Your body was growing,
Extra bones.
extra bones out. He's got spurs.
Yeah.
They don't jingle, jangle, jingle either.
No, they just cut into my Achilles tendon.
So, but that'll help. That'll be good.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to
Get moving again.
get moving. And hey, you may be on track to being the best pickleballer in Jackson, Tennessee.
True.
Right there.
Let's go.
So,
I might.
well, anything else coming up soon, Patrick? Because I know
We got a few
it's
things.
fall, and what's
Yeah.
happening?
Well, we've got a few things. Last week, we started our new Wednesday schedule.
Yes.
I feel like that went off well. I know I was glad. I left church after Wednesday night, and the sun was still out.
Yes, I did too.
It was setting, but there was light outside. That's the first time I think that's ever happened.
That not happened for us,
Well, I'm sorry.
unfortunately. But we're used to be the last ones out.
Oh, coming up on August the 21st, it's Green Sheet time.
Green Sheets.
Yeah, that'll be fun. For those that don't know, Green Sheets are our ministry opportunity forms where you can find a place to plug into the church, find a way to give your gifts and talents back. And it's a commitment for 12 months, so for a year to serve in a particular area. But, it's what do you like to do? What are you good at? I guarantee there's a place for you to plug in one of those areas. So
I think we talked about this last year, but what I've found great about it is that then you can see all of the things you can do here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You might not even realize something is needed or there is an opening or opportunity for something. So you can get to see that, number one. And then you can also write in things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you feel called to do something unique that's not on the sheet, we want to hear about that.
You can add it. Yeah. So that'll start on August the 21st. You can start filling those out. There'll be hard copies up at the church, or you could fill it out online or on the app. So be on the lookout for those. Starting on September 11th, Grief Share is back. So if you have experienced the loss of a loved one or are just dealing with some grief, sign up for that. Look into that, because that's a good way to get some practical advice and talk with other people that have lost loved ones and have worked through, and they can really help, and it can be a positive thing. There'll be more info on that online and on the website as well. So,
And if you are new to the podcast, go back a few episodes. It's been several now with Miss Diane Rose. There's one, and she's talking about grief share and answers a lot of questions you might have about it on that episode.
But that's starting back on September 11th. And also, save the date. Coming up on September 17th and 18th, Beth Allison Barr will be here. She will be our guest speaker. She's going to do a talk on that Saturday, September 17th, and there's going to be sort of a Q&A, and I think she's going to sign some merch and stuff like that on Saturday. And then she's going to be our guest preacher in all 3 worship services on Sunday morning. And now I've been told that what she's speaking on Saturday is going to be different than what she says in church on Sunday morning. So you want to be there for both of those.
Do both.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I'm in the middle of reading her book right now, so
I've finished it.
yeah. If anybody else has read it, I'd love to talk. I want to hear other people's opinions. Copies of that book will also be available at the Welcome Centers for $15.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you haven't read the book, pick up a copy, do some homework. And last but not least, the church is hiring. So we're looking for someone to fill the new youth minister position, and we've got a custodial position available. So you can find out all about those jobs at northsidejackson.com/jobs. All the info's there. So if you want to apply for those, or if you know somebody that you think would be a good fit, point them our direction. That's all I got.
Sounds good.
Well, guys, thanks for podcasting with me. And thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Northside Now Podcast. Go to our website, northsidejackson.com, or email us at podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
This is Glenn.
I'm Kevin.
And that's what's happening at Northside Now.
Bye-bye.